Hello everyone and welcome live to 3Wide TV for tonight's broadcast of race number 2 for the 5-Star Cuts Superspeedway series here in the National Sim Racing Association. I'm Mitchell Adams. Joining me in the booth tonight is Chris Darling. And Chris, I don't think I've had the pleasure to be in a broadcast booth with you, but I'm glad to have you up here with me tonight for what should be a night full of some great Superspeedway racing.
Definitely looking forward to it. Never done this before, so hopefully everybody can bear with me. But looks like we're going to have a great race tonight. Everything's looking good on my end. Hopefully it's looking good on yours too.
Yeah, hopefully everything looks good for you all at home as well. If it's not, just let us know in the chat. Or if you just want to talk with us in the chat, that is available as well. Let us know who you're watching for here tonight. We are looking at qualifying underway at Daytona right now. Trying to get a look at who is this out on track. That is the number 1 machine out here. I cannot get a name yet. My scoring is still pulling up, but going really slow up in the higher lane, trying to build up some speed. And Chris, I haven't seen a race with these new car of tomorrow yet here in the Superspeedway series. You know much about what to expect from these cars?
Well, I haven't ran a whole lot of races with this car, but I have ran, I think, 3 super speedways. So the biggest thing is these cars are super fidgety. So you just kind of have to watch out, in traffic. They don't do the greatest sucking up to the back bumper of another car, but if you can get sucked up to the back bumper, you can definitely tandem draft. So it should be pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, Superspeedway racing usually is pretty exciting here, and these drivers in the National Sim Racing Association never disappoint with the racing. I know last season we had some great racing here back when it was the Max Graphics Superspeedway series, and now glad to have 5-Star Cuts on board as well for this season. Let me pop that logo up nice and big. Big thank you to 5-Star Cuts for coming on board and being the title sponsor this season for the NSRA Superspeedway series that helps put on Wednesday night racing for all of us here in the booth and all of you watching at home. So a big thank you to them. Coming out of turn 4 is the number 1 car driving a Red Bull, and we'll see the name, or at least I will, as soon as he crosses the line this time. That's Josh Ball, and he will go to 7th on the speed chart. So looking to pick that up here lap 2, but right now, we've had most of the drivers, it looks like, I think, are going to take time, Chris. Take some time, and right now it's Sean Boundy out on top of the chart. Martin Plute in 2nd, though. I know that's a familiar name to both of us.
Oh, definitely. Not used to seeing Martin Plute put in a real fast qualifying time. Usually he's somebody that sort of sits in the back, so it'd be definitely cool to see him up front. Definitely looking forward to see Stan Hausman out there, too. Matt Cherry, he's pretty familiar with us. Outside of that, I mean, it's a pretty new field to me.
I know, same here. I don't know all these drivers, so we'll be looking forward to getting to know them through this race. I'm sure we'll get to see a lot of them go up toward the front of the pack. Lap number 2 for Josh Ball puts him 4th on the speed chart. Not a bad showing here in qualifying, but you've got, I think, 60 laps, if I'm not mistaken, here at Daytona coming up. A lot can happen in those 60 laps as well. I know you, or we both know, I should say, Chris, that this style of racing is just unpredictable, and you can have a fast car in qualifying, but that doesn't mean that you're going to run up front or even finish the race.
Oh, definitely, and I think we've even had our own fair share of run-ins together on these kind of tracks here.
I'm sure we have at some point.
But yeah, it could definitely turn into a race of attrition. So hopefully this isn't one of those, and hopefully they can have a clean night and have some fun racing all around.
Yeah, that is what we hope. And again, we hope they put on a show here in 55 laps. It's telling me I was 5 laps off. I could be a lot worse than that. Qualifying over, though, as you see there on your screen, and we are going to get ready to race, and we'll take you through the starting order here tonight. It's Sean Boundy in the 34 who will be sitting on the pole here for this one. In 2nd is Martin Plute. In 3rd is going to be Daniel Hoff. And I hope I don't butcher any of your names because I don't know all of you yet. In 4th is Josh Ball. In 5th is Adam Schramm. In 6th is Matt Cherry. 7th, Chris Papa. In 8th is Josh Cully. In 9th, Randy Perdue. In 10th is Stan Hausman, and I did see that beautiful paint scheme on Stan Hausman. We've got a highlight here as well. And then rounding out the 11-car field is defending series champion Jason Shue in the number 3 machine.
You always got to love those Beer Street Journal paint schemes. I just love them.
They do. Stan Hausman always brings out great-looking cars to the racetrack. Is that a Max Graphics, Chris, that he's driving here tonight?
It sure is. I'm hearing reports that we might have an unlimited fast repair setting.
Oh, we might. Well, that'll make things really interesting, really quick for us here.
And the aggression level definitely goes up when that happens, so it may be a super exciting race here.
I think that's just going to make things all the better for us here in the booth. If something big pops up on your screen, don't be alarmed, folks. It's just me forgetting to put something on before the broadcast. There we go. Now we can see if a caution comes out. That's kind of important here when we're sitting up in the broadcast booth. But with that out of the way, it's about time to go racing here. Sean Boundy, again, a driver I'm not familiar with. I don't know about you, Chris, but put in a really good qualifying time. Was about 0.03 of a second faster than Martin Plute. Of course, like we've said, qualifying speed usually doesn't mean much here at the super speedways. It's all about how well you can draft with other drivers.
Yeah, one thing it does show, though, is that he can hold a steady line, and that's going to be really important finding a friend here at the end of this race.
That is definitely true because, like you said, when you're sitting in the pack, you've got to be able to hold that wheel straight. And we are, again, going to see who can do that here as the iRacing pace car has pulled down onto pit road, and the green flag is out. We are racing from Daytona in the NSRA 5-Star Cut Super Speedway Series. And it is a great start for all drivers out front, but a better start for, I believe, Martin Plute up there in the high lane. He is going to be able to clear the 34 and jump out to the lead through 1 and 2, but watch out for, I believe, Josh Ball in the high line.
Yeah, he definitely got a big push off the line, Martin Plute did, and it looks like they're all going to start fighting for the bottom line. But, man, look at Stan Hausman right up the middle at the start of this race.
Stan Hausman went from 10th to 3rd right now on the racetrack. That is an impressive first lap, to say the least, and you see Martin Plute jumping up into the high line, getting in front of Hausman, because that 39, the Beer Street Journal car, is fast, and you see him getting all kinds of sideways down the front straightaway. Lap 1 going to be led by the number 1 machine of Josh Ball in the Red Bull car. Sean Boundy falls back into 2nd place, and Martin Plute in that outside lane kind of falling back just a little bit now, and Plute actually going to duck down into the inside lane here. And as I say that, he goes right back out to the outside, but they had a lot of momentum there at the start, and you see the 34 and 4 getting connected, and oh, the block from the 1. Oh, man. Unlimited fast repairs, Chris.
Oh, yeah, you ain't kidding. You could definitely see the huge runs these cars get, and that's going to happen quite a bit. If you're back a ways and you can get that big run, you better use it, because once you get into that air bubble behind the other car, it sort of comes to a complete stop. But, yeah, it definitely looks like they're being aggressive up there, knowing they got these fast repairs. And, you know, they might just be seeing what everybody's going to do if they're aggressive, you know?
Yeah, they're really in these early stages here, feeling each other out, seeing who they can work with here in the opening laps, because the friends you make now really will help you out later in the race. And speaking of friends, Stan Hausman in the outside lane getting a massive push from Matt Cherry in the number 54, the Stay Tuned Sports machine. Of course, Stay Tuned Sports, another sponsor here in the National Sim Racing Association, with the Stay Tuned Sports podcast truck series on Friday nights over at our friends on 3 Wide TV. And just like that, Stan Hausman from 10th at the start to leading lap number 3 of this race. Stan Hausman in the Beer Street Journal machine to the point here.
I love seeing Stan up front. One of my complaints with Stan, I talk to him quite regularly, has always been that I didn't ever feel like he was quite aggressive enough, but he could definitely do it. He could definitely run up front, so really good to see him up there and throwing some blocks here. Martin Plute and Matt Cherry just hung him out to dry and sent him to the cleaners.
Oh yeah, Stan Hausman going to the back now. He lost all that push. All his friends just kind of went around him there, and you see him now stuck up the middle 3 wide here. That's not where you want to be at Daytona, especially when there's no one else in that middle lane with you. You see Stan Hausman get back up into the outside lane, and Matt Cherry's going to lead a lap off of that move, but you see him get shuffled to the inside too, and they're banging doors. But they keep it going straight. That was another scary moment, though.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. But Matt Cherry's a guy, you know, he can get sideways. You can see his door numbers, and you don't got to worry about him thinking, oh, there they go off down the track.
Yeah, Martin Plute, he went somewhere down the racetrack, but he's going to come back out right behind, I believe, your racer. Oh, all the way up to the wall now.
Yeah, it looks like Josh Ball got the bad end of that one, but hopefully catch up here.
I see that. I didn't see that car in the frame. That is the #1 Red Bull machine of Josh Ball. Could lose the draft back there, Chris, unless somebody decides to go back there with him, try and help him get back up. But at this early stage of the race, I'm not sure I see them doing that.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. Just really aggressive bump drafting up front off the corner, and you know, these cars, I think I mentioned it earlier, they're just so fidgety, and you know, I think Josh Ball was trying to see what he could do with that 4 car in front of him, and just got a little too aggressive still in the exit of the corner, and sort of sent them both off. But pretty impressive. None of those guys wrecked.
Yeah, these drivers here in the National Sim Racing Association, all incredibly talented sim racers here. Again, we see very aggressive racing. 3 wide is pretty common here in this series from all I've seen of it from up here in the booth, so I'd expect to see a lot more of that here before the day is done. Meanwhile, back out on the track, Stan Hausman got that Beer Street Journal machine back into the race lead. For now, he is getting help from the 13 of Chris Papa there. And a couple drivers trying to make the outside lane work there. You see Matt Cherry up there trying to get a visual on the other driver. That's Martin Plute in the 4, trying to get the high line going again. But in the early stages, at least, it seems like most of the drivers stay low, and usually it's only 2 or 3 who decide to venture up into that higher lane. But you see it working for them really well right now. What a push from Cherry. Oh, and they wreck just as I say that. Sideways on the tri-oval. That is going to bring out our first caution of the night here from Daytona, and we are going to have to go take a look back at that one, Chris.
Definitely, and that's, you know what, that's exactly what Josh Ball and Sean Bond are doing. That's a good deal for them. That's for the 54. But you know what, because they're finally past the first time, so I would just keep playing aggressive. You know, might result in more cautions, but hey, it's definitely exciting for us.
It makes for exciting racing for us up top in the booth as well. And you see Matt Cherry just kind of got unlocked with the back bumper, I should say, of the 31 machine, and that just kind of sent him around there. 31 is not on my scoring. I'm wondering who that actually is.
Looks like it's Chris Papa, number 13, so I think they got his numbers a little backwards tonight.
This is why I have you in the booth, Chris. You put 2 and 2 together there. I did not, but yeah, you see the 13 and 54, a ton of damage, but like we said, have a faster pair in the pits, possibly more if they want it. That doesn't hurt anything.
You know, another thing too, I think these guys are definitely more willing to race so hard, not only because of the faster pairs, but also, you know, there's not a really big field, and I've learned from past experience, when there's not a big field, the intensity just kind of goes up because, you know, you just want to have fun at that point, and it definitely looks like these guys are having fun out there.
Yeah, and that's the point of it, too. You want to come out here and have fun on a Wednesday night, and when you only have 11 cars in the field here, you can take bigger risks, because if you get shuffled out, you're only going toward the back end of the top 10. So I do agree, it makes for a lot more aggressive racing, and it looks like somebody took a big gamble there in pit road.
It's like Josh Colley, maybe no tires.
That's what I'm thinking here. That 33 significantly faster than anybody else here. You see Martin Plute well behind that number 33. I am curious what the strategy was. I think you're
Love
probably
that call.
right.
I love that call. I love it. You know, you don't need to take tires here. I've done my fair share of races, and I just don't think they matter. And if that's going to get them the track position and that's going to make the difference for them, you know, keep that thing up front and stay out of trouble that way.
I completely agree with you there. I love the no tire call. I think I would have done the same thing, and I'm honestly really surprised to not have seen anyone else do that, because I feel like on iRacing here, that's kind of become the norm on super speedways. Is the way the sim is, you really just don't need the tires. But I mean, maybe these drivers on track feeling something that we can't see from the booth, because the 33, I believe, the only driver to make that call, if I'm not mistaken here. I'm actually going to go back and make sure
so much downforce, and with the high banking, I mean, it's not going to really do anything bad for him. So that's a good call, staying out of trouble. Sometimes, you know, even when you're in the back and you're trying to stay out of trouble, it doesn't really work. So, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't want to stay out of trouble, and, you know, maybe he just wants to lead some laps and try to win the race that way.
And we're looking as well at Jason Shu just now getting out of his pit box. I don't know if maybe he caught some damage in that last incident he wanted, or more likely maybe just topping off on fuel. We see drivers do that a lot here at super speedways, and really other tracks too. Just come in right before we go back green and get a little more fuel, because you never know if that's going to make the difference later. But we are 1 to green. Pace car lights are off, so racing going to resume here very shortly in the NSRA 5-Star Cut Super Speedway Series. Again, glad to have you all with us here on this Wednesday night on 10-4 Broadcasting. If you enjoy the race, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to subscribe to 10-4 Broadcasting, it helps both us and the National Sim Racing Association out a lot. We would really appreciate that. But enough of the little self-promos. It is time to go back racing here from Daytona. And Chris, I think the aggression we saw on that first restart is just going to pick up here on this next one.
Yeah, I can't see them turning it down at all. I mean, it just wouldn't make sense with all the fast repairs. But we'll have to see. I definitely keep an eye out for that 54. He's starting in the back, so it'll be definitely interesting to see how far he can get up in, you know, the matter of a lap or two.
Yeah, we'll be very curious to see. We'll have to pay attention to him. Meanwhile, great start on the racetrack for the number 33 of Josh Cully. He got out to a big gap, almost too big a gap, Chris. I know you probably know from experience as well, you don't want to get out to too big a jump on the restarts, because that just lets the other cars behind you just go right on by, because you're not a part of that draft. But it looks like, fortunately for him, the 9 of Adam Schramm going to pick him up down the back straightaway. But Martin Plute, just with a huge run in the outside lane, clears for the race lead.
Yeah, Martin's got a lot of experience up here, so I'm definitely going to be watching for him to try and work both lanes to block Randy Purdue and the 39. So we'll see what he could do here. Oh, it looks like a little contact there from Purdue.
Oh,
big contact.
Huge contact. They are wrecking again down the front straightaway. Caution out this time. A lot more cars involved in this one. I think everybody got a piece of this one, and they are still wrecking. We're going to go back and take a look at what caused this one, but I don't think that got everybody in the field
That was Daniel Half in the 32, not Randy Purdue.
It takes some getting used to. I'm still getting used to the new names and numbers up here as well. Looking back at it here on the replay, you see Martin Plute just go up a little to block Stan Hausman. He kind of makes contact with Hausman, then goes back down, but a little too much, and gets into Daniel Half there in that inside lane. And then from there, it's on. And I think Martin Plute actually came out better than anybody else did. Although I think, who is this here in front of him? The 25 of Randy Purdue might have made it through that one. We'll go back and check.
I think Martin's going to commit that down to the low line. The 32 just said, no, he already made the decision. Block that guy. I'm coming through.
on board here with Randy Perdue. Let's take a look. He's got a great perspective of this wreck. Oh no, you do see definitely contact with a couple of cars, but I think relative to his competition, he came out the least damaged here. Of course, they all have fast repairs in the pit. They will definitely be taking here. Up to second now. Martin Plute will actually retain the lead here. Of course, that could change as they are all headed back down pit road.
And Matt Cherry, I think, was the only car in that didn't get involved in that. And, you know, sly old dog he is in the sim racing world. He slowed right down for it. He saw it coming before it even happened.
Yeah, Matt Cherry with a lot of experience in that one. Look at, there's some car, yeah, not used to the paint scheme. Somebody's got a tire barely hanging onto their race car. It's whoever's in the front pit stall. Let's see if I can find a better... No, that's a terrible camera view. That's Martin Plute. That's a very damaged race car for Martin. And he came into the race lead, with the race lead, I should say, not going to come out with it. I believe Randy Perdue, no. Randy Perdue not the race leader. We'll let scoring update itself here in just a moment and get you some more updated standings, which are up on the top of the screen. We'll see who is in first place here when they go back around. But again, Chris, we said it would get more aggressive. I didn't think they would wreck on the very first lap, and it is Josh Cully in the 33 who will be your race leader, and Matt Cherry in second. But do you think they're going to, after everybody wrecking except you said Matt Cherry, do you think they'll calm down a little bit, or do you think we'll continue to see that aggressive racing that we've seen so far in this race?
You know, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say with the fast repairs. There's not a lot of risk involved, you know, being aggressive. You're just going to come back in and get it fixed. However, I'm kind of wondering if, you know, just the unfamiliarity with each other. You know, we were talking, you know, we don't know a lot of these guys. We've been in the league for a while though, but you know, maybe guys just aren't used to racing around each other, and you know, they don't know what each other are going to do here when they're darting around the track. So it might calm down a little here, but I don't know. We'll see.
And that is something that'll get better the more they race, obviously, the more they get comfortable with each other. But I agree, when you don't know the people you're racing with, it makes it a lot more difficult to know how other people drive. I think that's something, like you said, we both have experience in the National Sim Racing Association, and after a while, you just kind of learn how people drive, and you know who, okay, I can really push this person because they can hold a line, or who maybe you have to be a little more cautious with because they can't really take the pushes as well. And that's something when you're racing with people you don't know. These early races in the season is when you learn, you know, how people drive. So you're exactly right there that is what is we are probably seeing causing the incidents. The question is, you know, do they acknowledge that, or is it more of a trial by fire type thing, which is I think what we've been seeing so far, which I'm not complaining. It makes for much more entertainment here, seeing them go 2 and 3 wide. But you know, it just takes a little time to feel the drivers out, and we'll see what they do here. Josh Cully getting ready to lead the field back to green, this time by coming out of 4.
It definitely looked to see him restart this race early. You know, I think him and the 1 are teammates, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe they're going to be counting each other down. I'd have to look at that, though.
I'm going to check that as well. As they go back to the green flag, another really good jump for your leader, the 33. Got well away from the number 1, who is his pusher. And it does... I'm still looking to find them. I don't believe they're in the same voice chat here. So maybe not. They could be and just racing separately, but they are going to manage to get together out of turn number 2. The 33 going to lead them down the back straightaway. Shuffling behind him, though, going on as well. You see Martin Plute up there in the high line. The 34 machine of Sean Bounty up there as well. Now, I'm just now noticing the number 9 car that has the Napa paint scheme, the Chase Elliott look going on. Of course, that's Adam Schramm in the number 9.
Martin is just being really, really aggressive out there. He just cut down in front of the 9. I thought that was going to be another accident. And you see a 32 doing the same thing, jumping to the outside, trying to get that run. There's Stan Hausman up the middle now.
Stan Hausman jumping right up the inside of these drivers, not wasting any time trying to move his way back up toward the front. Look at the run Hausman has in the outside lane as well. He drove past several cars just by himself there with momentum. Now he is going to get picked up by, I believe, the 34 machine, yes, of Sean Bundy, or Boundy.
We'll get these names and numbers right.
We will.
Don't you worry. But, man, I guess they're giving us our answer on if it's going to be aggressive or what.
Yeah, they definitely haven't calmed down any. Usually I think they listen to me, Chris, and they do whatever I say I don't think they're going to do. Or they listen to me when I'm like, oh man, this person's staying out. What a great strategy. And then they go down pit road or something like that. But
we'll go with that. But in my years of experience, nobody's listening to the broadcasters. What's going to happen is every person we name is going to end up wrecking. I already know that, the broadcaster curse. So I'm going to try not to pick somebody to win tonight.
Yeah, I very much believe in the commentator's curse here. In my very first broadcast, we were doing who we thought was going to win late in the race, and I called someone they immediately wrecked, and so I've tried to avoid that as much as I can. Martin Plutt up in the outside lane. Look at him fighting for the race lead. Oh, the 33 gets turned. Can he save it? Wow.
Like he's going to hang on to it. Wow. That's some incredible driving there.
Oh, they're wrecking back up front, though. I believe the 32, yes, 32 around into the 34. Caution flag back in the air. Wow, that was a lot to digest right there. We're going to have to take a look back at both of those incidents on the replay. First and foremost, saved by the 33. That was incredible driving.
With these cars in iRacing.
Yeah, on board with him, and he was leading the race. You see just a bad push, he gets turned.
Just bad pushes. Hey,
it's aggressive pushing is another way to call that. They want to win the race. Then we look a little further up to the front. The 32 and the 34. It looks like the 34 just kind of got squeezed in between Hausman and Plutt with nowhere really to go. Kind of one of those accordion type incidents, and just kind of ended up going around in 34 of, oh, I almost guessed the name. I don't want to say the wrong name here. The 34 of Bounty, I would have said the wrong name. Just nowhere to go in that one. A lot of damage because of it.
Yeah, just unfortunate bad pushing. And with these cars, probably more than I've definitely come to notice that those harder bumps, the quick little shots that you can get going down a straightaway, those definitely don't work as well in these cars. Ideally, you just want somebody to sort of get into that little bubble and just lightly push you down the straight. You don't even have to touch them. The air bubble will definitely help you pick up I don't know if the bumpers aren't lining up quite correctly or what it is, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've heard about these new cars as well, is that really you can push just using the air as much as you can, getting on the back bumper. And I've also heard it's a little difficult to attach to that rear bumper from the people I've talked to about it, that there's like a bubble in there that, I mean, you can really use that to your advantage pushing.
Yeah, there's a little air bubble. A lot of times, and I'll just speak on experience from racing with Martin Plutt and Ben Mashburn. The guy who's leading, oftentimes, entering the corner, sort of has to let off just a tiny little bit, feather the throttle. That'll get you through that little air bubble, and then by the time you exit the corner, you usually are able to kind of close up and just lay it to him all the way down the back stretch and give him a big shot. So, I don't know. It's just a matter of guys, not used to working with each other. They'll get it though, and eventually you won't see these kind of accidents happening.
Yeah, and that's like we've said, the more this race goes on and the more the season goes on, that's something that will get better, and they'll be able to hold it 3 wide, even maybe 4 wide at like a Talladega without incident. But for now, yeah, that's something, again, they're still feeling each other out. Look who's back up front as well, Josh Ball. I feel like we haven't seen him up here for a little while. He started in 4th, got up to the lead quickly, but he's kind of fallen back. But that number 1 machine, now your race leader over Martin Plute, give him another chance to kind of show us what he's got. In that number 1, of course, you've said Martin Plute, a veteran here in the NSRA, knows what he's doing on these speedways. But does that veteran advantage kind of go away, Chris? I know we've kind of talked about some newer faces, at least for us. Does you get a little bit less of an advantage as a veteran when so much of the field is newer to the NSRA?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how can you not? Not to mention it seems like quite a few of these newer faces are all coming in, as a group together. But so that sort of plays a disadvantage too, because you don't have as many guys to work with, and one of the most important things to getting into victory lane at these tracks is making sure that at the end of the race you have a friend to help you, especially when it comes down to these cars, which you're doing a lot of tandem drafting with 2 cars. So you definitely need a friend, and being somebody who's been in the league a long time, I could just tell you that guys like Martin Plute, Stan Hausman, it's almost like they're the new guys in the league. There's so many new guys on the track.
I think that is a great way of putting it here, because again, they've got to learn to work with so many new drivers, and you could find a new teammate or someone you work with throughout the season here out of these new drivers. Of course, they all could work together on you because there's more numbers with newer drivers than the old guard, I guess we'll call them here. Again, pace car lights are off, and we are about to go back. Green flag racing here in race number 2 of the National Sim Racing Association 5-star cuts Super Speedway Series. Super exciting to be back for another season. This is one of the most exciting series, I think, on a consistent basis, just because of the Super Speedway style racing we get here. It's definitely one of my favorites to watch always, Chris. Of course, I'm a little biased as well toward the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series on Thursday nights as well, over on our friends at the World Racing Network. And of course, again, you can't forget the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Friday nights. But that was a quick green flag, quick jump for Josh Ball. Look at how far out that number 1 got.
Yeah, he is way too far out. This is what we call parachute deployed in about 3 seconds. You're gonna see Martin Plute and Matt Cherry come right up here and blow by him like he's standing still.
You see him weaving across the track, Chris?
I see him. I don't know if that's a good idea in front of these 2 guys, though. Martin and Matt are usually pretty aggressive drivers, so yeah, he definitely made the right move not trying to block that run, because that was huge.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was about to get interesting really quick if he had kept swerving across the racetrack, but I think he kind of realized maybe that wasn't going to work out so well, and going to have to settle back into line. It's a tandem out front, though, between the number 4 of Martin Plute and the 54 of Matt Cherry. These 2 working together very well, and well, at least for a second, it was tandems behind him as well. The 32 going to fall back in line, or excuse me, 33 falls back in line of Cully. And look at this run they're going to get on these 2 up front. They're going to go zooming by Martin Plute and Matt Cherry. Oh, almost contact between the 1 and 54.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to Josh Ball swerving, I kind of wonder if he thought maybe he could have fended that off by sort of disrupting the air in front of him. But man, look at Matt Cherry and the 32 car. Whoa, Matt Cherry cut off the 4. I thought that was going to be an accident there. And Martin Plute was on the radio letting him know.
Yeah, I don't know if there was quite a hole there for Matt Cherry to go into. He certainly made one there, though, in the inside lane, and that's one, if I were Martin Plute, I wouldn't be super happy with. But with the way we've seen the racing, it's just aggressive, and you've got to take whatever position and whatever spot you want to take here. That is no exception. Again, out front, the tandem forming up, the 33 of Josh Cully and the 1 of Josh Ball, the 2 Joshes running 1-2 out front. They got hooked up to take that race lead, and they haven't looked back so far. These 2 have about a half a second over third place behind him. Of course, we've seen on super speedways that really probably won't stay that way for long, but man, they're having a good run of it while they're up here. Look at the tandem up top as well. Matt Cherry and Daniel Half up there in the outside lane trying to get something going. Of course, Martin Plute, Randy Perdue there. And then you got to look back a little bit. We have another pack forming up, Chris, led by that Beer Street Journal car of Stan Hausman.
Yeah, it looks like a pack of about 4 cars, and then even further back to the 3. I don't know who's in the 3. I'd have to look. But it looks like they're closing in right now, and they have a huge run going on. This Beer Street Journal car of Stan Hausman's going to probably pull up, and oh, he's going to pass Martin. I thought he was going to give Martin a big old push. Man, what a run they had.
Oh, they're not.
Martin is right in the center of it.
Did you see Martin Plute, Matt Cherry bang doors? I thought they were going to wreck. Again, they hold it straight. I have no clue how. But
in a lap and a half, Stan Hausman has gone from, I don't know if they're going to catch the next pack, to, I'm taking the lead, boys. There he goes, right around the front car.
Yeah, Stan Hausman using all the momentum from that high line, along with a really good push from that 31, on track of Chris Papa, who is a lap down right now. That's worth noting. Chris Papa is 3 laps down, and the 9 of Adam Schramm as well, 2 laps down. But that's not stopping him from pushing Stan Hausman up to the race lead. We'll see if they can get the run off of 4 and maybe lead this lap. But oh, Martin Plute.
Oh man, into the wall hard too. Doesn't look like it's going to be a caution though.
No, they all kept it going straight, and it doesn't look like the NSRA will be throwing a caution for that one. So we continue to race, but we are going to lose Martin Plute up in the lead pack, as well as I believe the 32. No, not the 32. Someone in front of Martin Plute, who we are not getting exactly. We'll wait for scoring to update again here. It'll be on the top of your screen. But the battle for the race lead continues. Only things have shifted up front just a little bit. The 33 of Josh Cully now going to slot into the inside lane and take the lead of the race for now. But again, Stan Hausman continues to fight on that outside lane.
Yeah, I keep watching this 33 car. He knows how to work the draft in these cars, and he's pretty strong up there. So, man, he's good. He keeps falling to the back, and then he comes up to the front and, stands up there being aggressive. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of these guys tonight so far.
Yeah, these, I believe, 6 cars up front here putting on a show for us right now. This is, for those of you watching at home, this is Josh Cully in the 33, Stan Hausman, Sean Boundy, Matt Cherry, and Randy Perdue make up this pack we have here. Then back behind them, Josh Ball, Daniel Half, and Jason Shue. Not Jason Shue, actually. Jason Shue, defending series champion, is that other car who got caught up in that incident with Martin Plute and has lost the draft. Martin Plute is sitting in pit road right now as well. That is going to really hurt the 4's chances. It might take him out of contention here for this one. There's still a little ways to go, though, just past halfway, but that's going to be difficult to make up without some drafting friends out when he gets back on track.
Yeah, he's kind of in no man's land, and he's going to need a caution, or if he doesn't get a caution, he's going to have to, stay with the pack when they come around. But it won't be long until he goes a lap down, being that he's only a single car, maybe 7 or 8 laps. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens here.
Yeah, riding on board with Josh Cully right now. It's just updated there. You see these cars now have gone single file here, so they're settled down for now. Well, never mind. Stan Hausman says, no, Mitchell, I don't want you to be right. Stan Hausman continues to be the aggressor here in this lead pack. I like it, Chris. He wants to take that Beer Street Journal car up to the race lead and continues to be the one to jump out of line. And he's getting consistent help here as well from Chris Papa in the 31. So those two working together pretty well, but Stan hasn't been able to get up to the lead and clear just yet. And we'll see if maybe they can get together a little better, maybe convince one of those cars in the inside to jump to the outside with them, because the outside lane does seem to carry quite a bit of momentum here.
Man, Stan used that side draft, and he got a big run on the outside in the middle of 3 and 4, but I just don't know once this 34 locks up to 33, and there it is, trouble.
And they are spinning through the front tri-oval. Caution flag is out. That seems to be the place they like to wreck, is right there in that front tri-oval. And that'll put us under, I believe, our 4th caution of the night here from Daytona. The loud music is not going to scream at you when I go to the replay. This time, we're going to take a look back at it here on our 10-4 broadcasting replay.
You know, I think if the 33 didn't get the shot from 34, I think Stan Hausman was clear, but Stan didn't take into account that that he was going to get that bump draft. That's too bad.
Just kind of went down a little too much, or just some bad, I guess we call that a racing incident, where you can't really see everything that's going on around you. We'll take another look at it here, but
Boundy gave Cully a huge shot going into the tri-oval, and there's just no way you can account for that if you're looking to block that lane.
Yeah, if you're Stan Hausman, you can't see the 34 getting to that bumper and pushing him up, and yeah, you're exactly right. That's what is going to bring that caution out here. It's just a little bit of a racing deal. That's the unpredictability, you know. We have computerized spotters here. Some people bring real spotters, but I feel like 99% of iRacers, more than that, use the computerized spotter it gives us. And, you know, that spotter can't tell you, oh, the car to your inside is getting a push, don't go down. No, it just tells you you're clear. It doesn't really give you that much information. So no fault whatsoever to Stan Hausman. It's just kind of the nature of the beast here at Daytona.
Yeah, there's not a lot you could do. Speaking of Stan Hausman, you wanna have a chat with Stan?
Sure, let's have a chat with Stan. Let's see if we can't get him up here in the booth.
Oh, I got you. Watch this.
Stan Hausman, it's Mitchell and Chris up in the 10-4 broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great. How are you doing?
I'm 9 hours past sober, but I'm trying my best to keep going straight here.
Well,
man, buddy, you're being aggressive out there, and I love to see it because that's one of my biggest complaints with you whenever we're in the same channel race, and I love it. Why don't you give us a rundown of what happened there when during that last wreck?
No, that was on me. I thought I had them clear, and I wanted to come down, and it gave me clear, but they had another run. Like I think I briefly got ahead of them going into the tri-oval, and I wanted to get in front of them, and they just had a run back on me. I didn't really have any help on the outside, so I was trying to get back low. So that was just me forcing something that wasn't there.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've seen aggressive racing all night long here, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go away. Are you finding friends out there in that 39 machine you think are going to help you get back up to the front and hopefully get back into the lead here when the time comes?
I mean, I think so. I mean, right now with these next gen cars, I mean, you can push. I mean, you can push pretty good in the corners as long as you're hitting them pretty square. So I mean, me and Martin, I think work pretty good together. You know, Matt Cherry's up here. You know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well.
Stay aggressive, man. Do not stop being aggressive. We love watching it. I'm watching you go 3 wide, up the center, on the bottom, up high in the 3rd lane. Well, what's gotten into you tonight?
Well, I mean, with these next gens, I mean, it's all about keeping that momentum, and you can't break it, you know, no matter what. So if you've got to run and there's a gap somewhere, you just gotta keep going for open air and keep your foot on the floorboard and see what happens.
Yeah, no kidding. I want to see you in victory lane tonight. Oh, I did it, Mitchell. God dang it.
Oh, well, you're going to wreck, Stan. I'm sorry. Commentators cursed you.
Well, I kind of already wrecked a couple times, so I don't know if that's much of a curse.
Well, I mean, we'll let you get back out on track. I know you guys are getting ready to go back green. Maybe we'll get to talk to you a little more later on if Chris's curse doesn't work out. Hopefully you can find a way to I can't think of the word, but get rid of the curse, I guess. Is what
hopefully I'm on the right side of the next 20 laps here, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, best of luck to you, Stan. We'll let you go. Which voice channel were you in?
I'll knock him down up for you.
You will? Okay.
I'll knock him up for you. Oh, that doesn't sound quite right.
No, I think the censors get a little mad at us here. I won't tell Tim if you don't. But now again, Stan
All
Hausman.
night.
Stan Hausman gonna have his hands full again, coming from the back of the field, but he's got. Again, we saw him working with Papa there in the 31. Excuse me, I keep saying the number. I'm trying to call the one we see on track. It kind of throws me off here, but I mean, I think he seems to have one of the best cars tonight, Chris. It's just a matter of keeping it clean and finding someone to work with here.
Yeah, well, I don't know if keeping it clean matters too much, as long as there's a yellow when you can't. But
True.
yeah, definitely. Stan and Martin, they're gonna have to find each other because, like Stan said, he just doesn't have a lot of help out here.
Richard Clem out in the chat saying, "What's up, brothers?" Not much. Well, how's it going for you, Richard? And who do you have your eye on here tonight? Green flag back in the air from Daytona in the 5-star cut Super Speedway Series. Great start for Sean Bounty, but it seems to be the trend that the race leader just gets off to such a good start. And then you're going to see him get eaten up. We'll see. He's probably going to try and block high. It looked like he did. He's not going to let Matt Cherry take that run through on the outside lane, but it just seems like every leader just gets out to too big a lead and gets eaten up on the restart.
Yeah, I just don't get that. It's not a big secret. You can't go early on these things or it's going to happen every time. But, man, that one gave the 34 a shot off, too. I thought they were going to wreck again.
Yeah, they've come close so many times here, and you see this pack super tight, 2x2x2x2x2, down the front straightaway, through the front tri-oval, bumper to bumper. It's going to be the 32 machine of Daniel Half leading that lap, but Stan Hausman, here he comes. We were talking about him getting back up to the front. He's getting a lot of help from Martin Plute. Look at those two right up on the wall, trying to get all the momentum they can built up for this back straightaway. And Stan, oh man, I thought Martin was going to turn him, but they ducked down to the inside lane and get clear for the race lead. Oh.
And they lost all their momentum, though, unfortunately, and Josh Colley takes back the lead.
And you see Papa go up the inside lane, or the middle lane, just shot through the middle. Now leading the outside lane again. Papa is one lap down currently. And it is the 32 of Half leading this race. But Hausman already fighting back on the outside lane. He now has help from, well, that is Chris Papa there in the 31 machine. Only car one lap down at the moment. He is actually 2 laps down, so would need 2 more cautions to get back on the lead lap, but that's not too far out of the question here at Daytona. And
big wiggles on the backstretch out of the 34.
Yeah, they're pushing really hard, Chris. You can tell by the way they're ducking out of line there. 3 wide a little bit entering the turn. Oh, who's going around there? 32, maybe? No. Someone went around there. Cars wrecking everywhere. Matt Cherry with a ton of damage in the 53. Jason Shue, the defending champ, caught up in that one.
The 31 and the 9 looks like they got together, and that's sort of what caused that chain reaction. Not quite sure. It looked like the 31 was trying to side draft the 9. You know what? I think the 31 just he wants his laps back, but actually, it looks like the 9 might have hit the apron and come back up. That is a weird. I don't know what happened there.
I was going to say, it almost looked like the 9 came up into the 31. He was certainly holding him tight there on the inside lane, but I don't think it was caused by the 31 coming down. We'll try and get another view of it here. I think the 9 did have room to go down, and maybe the 31 just anticipated him going further down the racetrack. I don't exactly know, but that's going to catch a lot of cars up in that one. Not Stan Hausman, though. He is your race leader. We were talking to him, Chris. The curse hasn't come into effect yet because that 31 had a great restart.
I feel like as much as we're talking about him, he's got to be the favorite right now, and I hate to curse him, but he's just doing so well tonight. I'm just impressed. I'm happy for him.
And he's such a good speedway racer, too. I know, I remember back to the season opener of the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series on Thursday night. He almost won that race. Mike Tellier got the best of him in a photo finish. But Houseman knows how to do it here on these speedways. Again, he's been racing in the series for a long time. Has Beer Street Journal on the hood. Looking to take them into victory lane here in race number 2 of the 5-Star Cuts Super Speedway Series. Some takers on pit road, though. Not Houseman, though. He is going to stay out, but there were quite a few jump down pit road. Only 2 actually stay out.
Yeah, I'm guessing that these are all the guys that were involved in the wreck. I can't see any other reason that they'd pit. I believe I looked earlier, and they're getting about 40 laps of fuel, so it's definitely not a fuel issue. So, I mean, they probably just want tires and to, maybe regather themselves a little bit and get ready for this last little stretch.
Yeah, we are getting into those closing stages of the race, getting close to 15 to go, and that's going to fly by as soon as we go back green flag. Doesn't leave you with a ton of time to make those moves, so right now you really got to start thinking about, okay, who do I want to work with here? What position do I want to be in? Do I want to go on the high line, the low line, those sort of things, because you spend the whole race learning here on the super speedways, and now it's really time to make use of that, and we're going to see who's going to come out on top. Stan Houseman in a good position out front. We'll see if he doesn't get eaten up, I guess, on the start, Chris. I know he's got a lot of experience here in the series, like you said. You think maybe Stan's going to time the start a little better, because that's been the weakness. The leader already is usually just kind of a sitting duck out front sometimes, and when you disadvantage yourself even more by getting that massive jumper, the early start really is going to hurt you, especially in the late stages.
Yeah, you just got to be patient once they get in that restart zone, and just wait on it. Wait for those lights to turn green. Make sure the guy behind you is ready to go, and he can sort of close up to you and give you a good old push.
And I do know that iRacing, they have the new restart zone thing. I would assume that's a thing at Daytona. I haven't actually tried it out. I don't know for sure, but you would think that Daytona would get one of the newer updates to where they have an actual restart zone.
Yeah, it has it. I even did a race with it a couple weeks ago, utilizing it. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no clue how it works still, and I actually raced with it. So I don't know. I know the leader has to keep a consistent speed, but I'm pretty sure they could go whenever they want once they hit that zone. So it's just the same as what we had before. It's just sort of outlined now by the sim as opposed to policed by us.
Yeah, and that's definitely not a bad thing at all to have available to us. It just makes it a little more realistic. Of course, I haven't gotten to try it out yet. I don't race much. I just kind of sit up here in the broadcast booth and talk a couple nights of the week. Unlike all these drivers here in the National Sim Racing Association. Again, do you know who won last week? Because I've been searching everywhere for the results last week, and I cannot find them for my life.
So I will get that information for you right now, but I have no clue.
Okay. Well, we're just going to ignore the fact that there was a winner last week just for a second. Of course, it could be someone who's not in the field tonight, and then I'll be like, who's that? I don't know. Anyways, pace car lights are off. We're getting ready to go back green flag once again here from Daytona. It's telling me it's green flag. I bet I am behind a little bit. I am actually. There's the restart. I'm just going to turn the flags off, and I'll catch back up when we get the chance. Green flag back in the air for Stan Houseman, and just like I kind of predicted, Stan, much better job timing that restart. You see him already playing the lines here on this start, the 33 and 32 side by side in row 2. And Stan just did a great job holding the run the high line had off.
Yeah, he did a great job on that restart, but so did Josh Colley. I don't know what happened, if he got a little squirrely or if he meant to dive down onto the inside and try to make the pass, but he's sitting back and looks like 5th or 6th now. And I also have news for you. Sean Boundy was last week's winner at Monza Superspeedway.
Ah, Monza. I love Monza. Boundy currently sits in 2nd place. So he is right there in contention. Again, 3 wide for 2nd. down the front straightaway. Matt Cherry up the middle, pushed by Martin Plute. But it's all Stan Hausman up front for the time being, but now he has to block 3 lanes. Matt Cherry says, no, you don't. And Matt Cherry with a huge run in the outside lane, but does he have the help from Martin Plute? We will see.
Paul's getting a big old run ready, too. You're going to see him catapult to the front here off turn 4.
Hey, you see drivers kind of sit back. As I've noticed Jason Shu here in the 3 does it a lot. He kind of sits back and then builds up a run. Again, defending series champion is Jason Shu. Well, he knows what he's doing back there in that number 3 machine. Meanwhile, it's Matt Cherry in the Stay Tuned Sports machine up at the front of this pack now, but watch Josh Ball in the outside lane. The 9 car up into the wall. That's Adam Schramm.
Yeah, it looks like Adam Schramm has a lot of damage on that car, too, so it looks like he's probably going to be counted out of this race unless they get a yellow flag somehow.
Well, there's still plenty of time for that. Not even 10 laps to go yet. But look at Josh Ball in the outside lane, really controlling the race right now. Getting a lot of help from Josh Culley in that 33, who's another one that just seems to have such a fast race car. I think, having watched the race, I feel like it's Stan Hausman and Culley there in the 33 have the fastest race cars on the track. Those two just seem to be able to go up toward the front whenever they want to, almost. Of course, both of them sitting a little bit back in the pack right now. And watch the 34 of Schramm. Now last week's race, or Bounty, excuse me, up the middle. Not going to work out, though. No help.
Yeah, I think another person to watch for, too, is Culley as he makes contact with Stan Hausman.
See here, I am going to. Yeah, that's right, because the feed was behind. That's why. Here we go. This is a replay now. Going down the back straightaway. We'll watch Culley here in the 33. Let's actually go to the 10-4 chopper. You see Stan Hausman get turned around. Oh man, that was a hard hit. Hard hit. And again, the guys I was just talking about, Chris, here's a lesson. That as being the 2 fastest, it seemed like both of them caught up in that one.
Oh, they'll get a good opportunity to re-rack and try again here.
It looked like, I think the one of Josh Ball tried to take it 3 wide when there wasn't room up the inside, and you see the result there of that one. Unfortunately, not going to end well for those drivers, but again, faster pairs sitting in the pits. No harm, no foul. They're just going to lose a little track position, but we've seen how quickly drivers like Stan Hausman can jump up through the field.
Yeah, and you know, in normal conditions, you'd probably be upset with a move like that out of Josh Ball. There wasn't really a lot of room there between Hausman and the inside line, but I mean, you're coming to 10 to go. It's time to go. Time to try and get up front and be the leader of this race, so you get a win at the end of the day.
I completely agree with you, Chris. I think if you don't start making the moves now to try and get back up to the front, you're not going to get back up to the front late in the race when it counts. Stan Hausman in the 32 as well of Daniel Half down pit road, as well as many others actually. Josh Balls, Sean Boundy, Josh Culley all down pit road. Martin Plute still sitting in pit road here. I think he went down under the green. No, he went down earlier, I think. But that 4 sitting laps down now with a lot of damage. Someone who is not laps down anymore is the 31 of Chris Papa. Congratulations, Chris. He is back on the lead lap. He got enough lucky dogs for that. So that 31 machine now back in contention. That's another one we've seen be really fast, Chris. He worked with Stan Hausman really well. Got to keep an eye on the 31 when we go back green with less than 10 to go.
Yeah, definitely. What was it? 45 laps of absolute patience there while you're 2 laps down racing everybody and just trying to keep it clean enough to get your laps back at the time of each caution. So he could definitely be a contender in this thing to win it, and wouldn't that be a story going from 2 or 3 laps down all the way up to get a win?
Yeah, Matt Cherry out front, though, certainly doesn't want to let that happen. Matt Cherry is another one, Chris. I know we've raced with him for a long time. Really good pusher on the super speedways. Knows how to get around these tracks as well. Now he's out front. He's got Randy Purdue starting in second. Purdue, another veteran of this series, the 5-Star Cuts Super Speedway series, I should say. Then they are going to restart with the 34 of Sean Boundy, last week's race winner, and the 32 of Daniel Half behind them. So 2 veterans of the series, and at least to me, 2 newer drivers here trying to make a name for themselves in the National Sim Racing Association.
Yeah, and Matt Cherry's a pretty aggressive driver. You know, he'll try to keep it clean to the end of these things, but once you get to the end, you know, he's not afraid to throw a block and try to keep himself up front. So this definitely could get exciting at the end. But I mean, hey, we're going to see what's going to happen. What are we going to have, about 7 laps to go at the green flag here?
Yeah, I believe 7 to go when we go green is correct. I think you're right there, Chris. And you see drivers down on the apron. Josh Ball down there. I believe it's the 33 of Josh Cully also down there, fuel saving. There's the 3 of Jason Shue also down running on the apron. Presumably shut off engines, trying to save as much fuel as they can here. That makes me wonder how close they actually are on fuel, although a lot of them have had the chance to come down. So I can't imagine they're too close. Oh, there goes Martin Plute.
I believe that's going to put Martin on the lead lap.
I think it does. You are correct. We'll see if he can get back. Caught up with them in time. You see him just now exiting for the field. Going into 3, I don't know if Martin's going to be able to get back to them in time, but he will at least be back on the lead lap. Were we able to get another caution?
Looks like they're extending this caution by a lap to allow
Yes.
him to make up his lap. So that's a good deal for Martin Plute. Big break there.
Yeah, trying to keep him in contention here, I believe, is what we have going on. And again, Martin Plute, one of the big names coming into tonight. So having him back on the lead lap, if you're the competition, you don't want to see that, because Martin knows how to race a super speedway, and he will be aggressive going for this race win. And if you're everybody else, you were all excited for the restart that lap. Now you've got to sit it back down just a little bit. That kind of plays some mind games with you, I know, when that caution gets extended after you were so ready to go back green flag racing. Can kind of throw a driver off sometimes as well.
Yeah, it can once in a while. But I mean, a lot of these guys, I mean, we're 48 laps into the race. They've been racing every week, so they should be pretty locked in. It shouldn't make too much of a difference on this track, but I guess you never know. And definitely give a shout out to Jason Shue. He's been back there just kind of minding his own business all race. We haven't really talked a lot about him, but he's a guy to look out for. He's always seems to be around at the end of these things. Whether that's his survivability or whether he gets up there and mixes it up, he sort of, you know, takes turns on that each week, whether he's going to be aggressive or not. But he is our series champion from last season, so definitely keep an eye on him. I know he's, I think, in last place right now, but he could definitely make a run up towards the front.
I mean, I think all last season here, that was his strategy as well in the 5-Star Cut Super Speedway series, and we see that again this season. Just kind of laying back, letting the drivers race, and then at the end getting aggressive, going up and getting those points. It worked well for him last season. Obviously brought home the Max Graphics Super Speedway Series Championship. Comes in the defending champ here, and we'll see what Shue can do here on this restart. 7 laps to go. Pace car off. Matt Cherry going to lead him back to green in the restart zone. Green flag back in the air, and it was a great start for both lines there. Dead even at the line, headed off into 1. It looks to me like that inside lane just slightly more formed up, and yeah, you see already moves the 32 jumping in the middle, and that you see how much that killed the outside lane. They are already falling so far back from your race leader, Matt Cherry.
Yeah, it's a big momentum killer, and don't look now, but it looks like, well, I was going to say those 3 veterans we talked about earlier were going to get together, but oh, it looks like there's cars off track going down the backstretch.
Yeah, the
They're all
34
together.
Bounty and Ball off track, the 2 Bs. We stay green here, it looks like, but boy, did that shake things up. You see the big gap here from the 10-4 broadcasting chopper. or excuse me, the blimp of just how big that gap is. And watch, Chris, they're going to get eaten up here, I would think, by this pack behind them.
Yeah, and look who's right back in it. There's Martin Flute. Somehow he made his way back up to the front, and he's right behind Stan Hausman. But it looks like they got a huge line of cars on the inside, and it's just going to be hard to build up any momentum if they can't get more cars up top there.
Yeah, and you see how fast that inside lane is going. They decided to stick with Matt Cherry there up the inside lane. The 33 of Cully decided to jump out. He's going to pay for it. He's going to get turned.
Wow, what a shot Hausman gave Cully.
Too big a shot as Hausman goes around in the corner. And we are back under caution once again here. Man.
Yeah, I think we sort of should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
I think when Stan was in the channel with us talking after one of the other cautions, he said, you know, the momentum you get these cars is just so important that he doesn't want to let off. And I think that's just what we saw there. He didn't want to let off being so close to the end of this race.
Yeah, I think, as Brad Keselowski said once, no lifting here in the closing stages. And really, Stan Hausman came out worse for wear in that one than did the 33 of Josh Cully. But big damage for Hausman. We'll see if he can get that fast repair. Of course, Cully has some sparks flying out from behind that race car as well. He did not get away from that scot-free at all. Taking a look at Hausman down pit road.
And for anybody watching, I know Mitchell mentioned Brad Keselowski's words, but I'm going to mention one from NSRA's old days, from Travis White. It's a race, boy, and if you don't like it, get out the way.
That's a bit of a throwback, man. That's been a while ago, hasn't it?
That was, 2 years ago about? But, yeah, there were some other words entered into that quote. And it's one of my favorite quotes ever, but I can't say those on this network, unfortunately.
Yeah, Tim will get mad at us. And Matt Cherry out front. He's not going to have as long to hold these cars off now. Only going to be, I believe, we'll see. I believe pace car lights will stay on here. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. I'm right. They stay on. So I think we're looking at a 2-lap shootout here, Chris, to decide the race win here. And you've got 6th place on back decided to go down pit road. But we have the entire field on the lead lap. You couldn't ask for much more than that in the closing stages of a 5-star Cuts Super Speedway Series race.
Yeah, they're ready to re-rack once again, and you know, I'm just looking at how this is setting up and scratching my head because about 4 laps ago, the 4 car and the 31 were both a lap down, and now all of a sudden they're sitting 3rd and 4th, and they might be in the catbird seat to try and win this thing.
And again, what a story would it be for the 13 or the 4 to win from 2 laps down? Now, the 31 spent the majority of the race laps down. Here he is running 4th. And Chris Papa looking to pick up, I believe, his first win in the series.
I may be wrong, but he may have just joined today or at least this week, I think. So I could be wrong there. I'm out of touch these days.
You and me both a little bit there, Chris. But, yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be a story for those drivers? I mean, there's a lot of names in here. I mean, you've got Jason Shoes really hung back the whole race. Again, defending series champion, but still to come off of running toward the back of the field most of the race by choice. Still, but to come out here and win the race, I know he is running still a little bit farther back in the pack. Of course, then you have Matt Cherry, who's just like, no, I don't think I want that to happen. I'm just going to hold the lead and win this race. But we both know how difficult that can be in an overtime restart. Not overtime, but still a 2-lap shootout here.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past us to get to overtime here. But, you know, I think Matt Cherry, going into this last restart, he's going to have to play it real smart. If he does get a big lead, he's going to have to block like his life depends on it. But he's got to make sure that Martin stays right with him on this restart. He's going to get swallowed up like we've seen all night.
From what I'm seeing here, this is Chris Papa. He did join the league today. I believe Josh Cully might also have. He claimed a number today. So that could be 2 drivers, both who, you know, this is their first start. And here they are, Cully again further back in the pack, but we've seen so much from him here today. It's a great first showing. And again, can they close the deal late? We've seen how quickly they can drive up through the field in these new cars. I think anybody has a chance to win if you're on the track right now, which everyone is. Everyone is on the lead lap. It's so hard. Again, I'm not gonna make a pick, but if I had to, I don't even think I could.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to pick anybody at this point. You know, it's a small field, so when you go to the back, you're just not far enough back to be counted out of this thing. And I don't know. You see Stan Hausman and Josh Colley in the far back. They could be up there by the end of this next lap or so.
Yeah, and again, we're going to see here because the iRacing pace car going to go off the racetrack here, and we are going to be back green flag racing for a 2-lap shootout. Will we make it to the white flag? That, I think, is the big question we're going to be asking ourselves. Matt Cherry on the loud pedal, green flag back in the air. Look at Purdue, though, in the outside lane. Got a nice run, but he doesn't have as much help from Papa as I think Cherry has from Purdue, but, again, Plute. And you see, again, the outside lane, someone jumps out of line, and it also, again, it's the 34.
Yeah, it looks like they just hung Papa right out to dry. He's all the way in the back now, and it looks like Purdue and Matt Cherry are now leading the field into turn 3 here in a minute.
Yeah, that 34 doesn't like to... Oh, man. I thought Cherry was about to go turn into the wall. He came up right when the 32 machine was coming down, but they keep from wrecking as they exit 4. I think we're going to make it, Chris. I don't want to say it too soon. White flag in the air here, and we will end the race next time by here in the 5-Star Cut Super Speedway Series.
Gosh, Ball got right up there. He's going to make an aggressive move to the inside and then sort of bounce back out. And, man, it's just a wonder if he's going to cut back down. Big wreck in the back, but we got a race for the lead going on.
Yes, we do. We'll look back at that later, but that's going to take a bunch of drivers out of contention. Meanwhile, it's Josh Ball up front, leading the race with help from the 34 machine. There, the 34 makes the move to the outside. It's going to be a drag race. Watch Cherry in the outside. He doesn't have help, though.
That 34 is out there quite a bit, but I think he might have it here.
I think you're right there, wrecking behind him. It is going to be the 34 machine of Sean Bounty, 2 for 2 in the 5-Star Cut Super Speedway Series. Back-to-back wins. Man, what a race that was, and they continue to wreck back there behind him. We'll get, again, a look back at both of those incidents here coming to the line, but it is Sean Bounty started first. He will take home the win from the pole. Not easy to do here at these races. Let's go to the 10-4 broadcast blimp here. This is into 3, coming to the finish. And Chris, he just got so far out front. I thought he was a sitting duck. He made it work.
Yeah, that was a great strategy. Well, I don't know if it was a strategy, but man, Bounty pushed Ball so far out in front of the pack that there was really nothing Ball was going to do there. He was pretty much a dead man out there. Matt Cherry tried everything he could, but when Bounty pulled up, he sort of lost all his momentum, and that was it. There was nobody left with momentum to pass Bounty.
And we'll take a look back now as well at the first incident we had going into turn number 1. You see just a checkup from the inside lane. Houseman trying to go 3 wide. The 9 just kind of comes down into him, and that collects the 31 of Papa as well, who we were talking about. Wouldn't it be so great if Papa won? Unfortunately, not going to happen for him here tonight. He is going to be credited with an 11th place finish. But again, Sean Bounty coming out victorious here tonight after an impressive run from him, opening the season with 2 wins. I mean, that's how to do it. As you see him burning it down here on the front straightaway, we're going to line up some post-race interviews for you as well, so make sure to stick around here on 10-4 Broadcasting while we bring in your top 3 finishers. That's Daniel Half, Randy Perdue, and race winner here, Sean Boundy, coming up here shortly. We'll work on getting one of them into the booth. Let's see who I can grab. Let's grab our friend here, Daniel Half. Daniel Half, Mitchell, and Chris up in the 10-4 broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, it was just an exciting race for us to watch up here. You all seemed like you were 3 wide every single lap. Just take us through the racing here tonight and how you managed to squeak out a podium finish of this one.
Honestly, I don't know how I squeaked that one out. I do have to apologize. That wreck coming to the line, I think, was me being a little eager, trying to squeeze into the middle between Matt Cherry and Josh Ball, and I think I just that gap closed a lot quicker than I was expecting it to. But somehow being able to manage a 3rd place finish, I mean, I'm happy with it. Kind of a lot of aggressive racing tonight. Some good aggressive racing, some not so great aggressive racing, but hopefully we put on a good show.
I think from our perspective, it certainly was a good show you all put on here tonight. And we've been through Monza, we've been through Talladega. I'm quickly going to see where we go to next week as well. But do you think you are starting to get a feel for the drivers around you? Because I know that's such a critical part of this style of racing. Are you still trying to feel everybody out and kind of know how aggressive you can be here in this series?
Oh, no, definitely, for sure. I mean, between Monza last week and then Daytona tonight, I think we have a good group of guys that are coming back to each race, and they all have a very clean but sometimes aggressive racing style. But you know how they're going to race you. They're going to race you most of the time clean. So as long as you can return the favor, I mean, these guys are good, and it's just kind of following along, seeing which lane's going to move quicker. But I mean, throughout the race with these guys, with the talent that they have, I mean, there is no single lane to follow.
I'll turn it over to Chris if you have any questions for our 3rd place finisher here tonight.
Yeah, just real quick. First, congrats on your win. It was, or not a win, 3rd place. So that was pretty awesome. You know, I believe typically you guys have one faster pair during these races. And tonight, you know, you're dealing with unlimited. Do you think that kind of turned up the aggressiveness, or do you think this is just how aggressive these guys want to be every week, just out there having fun and trying to compete?
I mean, I think it did up the aggressiveness a little bit, knowing that was in their back pocket. But I don't think it changed a whole lot. Maybe a couple of guys, but overall, I think a lot of these guys do race pretty clean anyway. So I don't think it changed a whole lot. But I think there was definitely a couple of guys that knew the unlimited faster pairs and definitely took that to their advantage.
Yeah, we could definitely tell that there was a lot of aggressive moves out there and a lot of hard bump traction and stuff. And you know, we were just talking about sort of the whole night about you know, the faster pairs and how that might change somebody's mind when they're sort of racing around other cars and stuff. So definitely a good run for you. And you know, you got any shout outs you want to give or anything else?
No, I just want to thank you guys for the broadcast. Shout out to Justin White in the NSRA League. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be helping run the Superspeedway League. And hopefully next week we're going to have even more guys coming out. And I think we're going to be building up to a good season overall.
Well, thank you for stopping by and talking with us, Daniel. I know you're probably busy in your post-race stuff. But again, congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Best of luck to you at iRacing Superspeedway as well next week. I want to ask you again your thoughts on iRacing Superspeedway.
That track's been good to me in the past, so I'm looking forward to that one. I got close to winning that race in another league a couple months ago, so I'm hoping that maybe next week, I got 2nd last week, I got 3rd this week, maybe next week I can finally break through and get that win finally.
Yeah, well, we wish you the best of luck in that again. And again, thank you for stopping by and chatting with us here today.
Oh, thank you guys for the broadcast. I appreciate it. You know, I look forward to these races every week.
All right, that is going to be our 2nd place finisher, or excuse me, 3rd place finisher, Daniel Half. And we were going to go to our 2nd place finisher. Again, realizing I don't see him around here. So we are going to jump from 2nd place, or excuse me, from 3rd place to your race winner, Sean Boundy, congratulations on a great race. 2 in a row here in the 5-Star Cut Super Speedway Series.
Yeah. How about that? Tonight was a wild race, for sure.
It definitely looked like it from up here. I think I said the same thing to Daniel when he was talking with us here in post-race. But, I mean, man, you guys looked like you were so aggressive on the edge every single lap. But you managed to come out on top. Was it because you had friends out there? Or was it just the way you managed to work the traffic that got you out front late?
That's a tough one. In normal circumstances, you could find a way to manipulate the field, get yourself in position. And tonight we had two unique things working against like anything that is more traditional setup for a finish. One, we had the unlimited fast repair and the short field, the small field on a track like this where everybody's going to stay together. Typically, when you get these smaller fields, you're going to see more bobbing and weaving and making moves than you would if you had a very large 2-lane long pack train going, and there's a lot more patience. But paired with the small field and everybody just kind of taking jabs at each other, normally it's all good and fun. But when you have the unlimited fast repair, there was a little bit more aggression than normal, and I think that had a large contribution to that. And there was a particular car out there that there's a tale of two races in every race. There's the spectator race, and then there's the race that the drivers have. And the drivers have a very different interpretation of what is entertainment versus crossing the line. And there was a little bit of aggression that I think everybody was occupied and entertained by, but also guaranteeing that certain drivers weren't going to either finish this race or do well in this race. Some of those bounds were overstepped. And we're hoping that it was a contributing factor to the unlimited fast repairs, and we'll see how it plays out next week. But aside from that, yeah, it was fun. It was entertaining. A little bit more aggressive than it should have been. But at the end of the day, some of us still know how to set ourselves up for getting to the finish, and it just worked out that the timing was just right. There's still a lot of luck that comes into where runs come from, and if somebody makes a move that allows you to make a move or forces you to not be able to, it just you have to make sure that you keep an eye on that, so you know when to make your move, to know how to recognize those situations, and then the rest of it just comes down to luck. And fortunately, that's just where we were.
Well, I was going to ask you, from personal experience, I've always found that when there is unlimited fast repairs, I think it's about 5 times more aggressive than it normally is, no matter what track you're at. But I was going to ask you, this week to last week, I know Monza's really different, but do you feel like obviously I think you feel the aggression picked up, but do you feel like you're figuring out the racers around you? At least I know that tonight was definitely aggressive, but are you figuring people out, knowing who it is you're going to work with here through the rest of the season?
Well, that with the unlimited fast repairs and coming to a more traditional track where there's a lot more control of keeping the track underneath you, you get a better sense of the way people race. But as I was alluding to, with the fast repairs, you don't get a true sense of how much somebody might hold back when there's more consequence on the line. So that's what I'm thinking. Is it's tonight? There was a little bit of question marks there, and we're just gonna kind of have to wait and see another week and to see if when there's more on the line, is there more patience? Is there more responsibility? But yeah, there's definitely some guys that I know I could work with, and there's a lot of guys in here that I've raced a lot before. Some of them if I haven't, and yeah, it's just a big question mark.
Yeah, and Chris, do you have anything for our race winner while we've got him here in the booth?
Yeah, we talked about the fast repairs, and I think you mentioned at some point, setting yourself up to sort of get to the end. We kind of watched all night tonight. You know, you were up in the front, and then you go to the back, up in the front and back. It's sort of like a back and forth night for you. Do you think coming through the field all those different times, even though it was a smaller field, sort of like helped you figure out what you could do with your car in order to get around Josh Ball on that last lap?
Absolutely. When you have a small field like that, and a few years past, there was lots of controversy in restrictor plate racing and the Cup cars where they couldn't suck up and they wouldn't suck up. And tonight it felt more like 12 years ago, 10 years ago, Super Speedway, where you could really suck up. But I also felt that once you like made a move and you get yourself in the sucker hole, you drop. You fell back like you're losing lost a cylinder. So you can make moves, but you still had to make sure that once you made a move, that hopefully somebody would drop down with you or come up with you and finish that move off. Otherwise, if you're left by yourself, you'll get 90% clear of a car, and then that pack will come back to you. But yeah, when you got these smaller fields, it's always fun and it keeps it entertaining for yourself. To stay occupied and to go back and observe, and then for fun, just try to make your way back through the field. I think a lot of guys were doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see that. It was definitely a beautiful move on the backstretch. I mean, you were just shy of making contact with Matt Cherry, and I'm sure he couldn't have been happy about that. But he would have done the same exact thing to get that win at the end of the race. So definitely a great job, and I'll pass it back to Mitchell.
Thanks.
Yeah, looking next week at iRacing Super Speedway, I know that's kind of another less traditional track. I think Monza and iRacing Super Speedway be the two big curveballs on the schedule. How do you feel about that track, and do you feel confident going into that you could three-peat here?
I've said it from day one, and my opinion has never changed since I started racing that. I do not believe that track deserves to be on iRacing. It's on the schedule. We're gonna race it. I have no love for that track, no matter how well the racing turns out to be or how entertaining the race is for people to watch. Yeah, that's as clear cut as I can get. That track shouldn't exist.
All right. Well, before we let you go here, do you have anybody you want to shout out here that helped you get to victory lane here tonight, or just shout out in general, I guess?
Yeah, just appreciate you guys coming on board and getting these races in. I'm sure with you guys up there, we got a small field, and it's got to be a little daunting. Like, oh man, we're broadcasting this small field. Yeah, it could be entertaining, but it's the same few guys. But yeah, you guys are fun to listen to, and appreciate you sticking around with us while we play bumper cars here.
Hey, we enjoy sitting up here in the booth and spending our Wednesday night watching some racing. So, again, thanks, man, for coming and talking with us. Congratulations on another win, and best of luck to you at iRacing Super Speedway next week, no matter how much you may hate it.
Yeah, I don't go into the race just hating it. I treat it like every other race, and it drives like every other race. But yeah, just the way it drives is a little bit different. There's more consequence. There's as far as like when you make a move, those straightaways are just so long. And when you hit the banking, if you're one of the things that's unique about that track is if you're right up behind somebody and you get to that corner, you have to turn the wheel before you get to the corner. Otherwise, your car drifts up a lane, and it makes it harder for that outside guy to run you tight and have faith that that car is going to stay on the bottom. Those kinds of things. Those are the wild cards to look out for if you're really running tight for coming to the end of these races. That's got a unique characteristic for that track in that regard. But yeah, I look forward to every race. Just some tracks not as much.
Well, yeah, we look forward to watching that race next week. Again, that'll be live right here on 10-4 broadcasting on Wednesday night for iRacing Superspeedway. I personally think, Chris, it's one of the most fun races to watch on the schedule because we'll see 5 or 6 wide at iRacing Superspeedway, and that certainly does not make for a dull night at all.
Yeah, definitely not. It's sort of one of those tracks where you could fan out 5, 6 wide, but once you get to the corner, it sort of all folds back in again, and it's sort of like a giant funnel. You'll see guys at the front of the pack, then they'll drop all the way to the back, and the runs you get at that track are pretty huge. So I know a lot of guys don't like it, but it definitely makes for an entertaining race for the broadcast.
Yeah, I've always loved driving it, and I love watching it just as much. And again, I hope you all will tune in again next Wednesday night for race number 3 of the 5-Star Cut Super Speedway Series. Before we go off air tonight, though, we have to run you through your finishing order one final time. Again, it was Sean Boundy picking up tonight's win. Randy Perdue was having some technical issues. He could not join us here in the booth. Daniel Half finished in 3rd. Josh Ball comes in 4th place. Matt Cherry put on a heck of a drive there at the end, but 5th place is all he's going to be able to come away with here tonight. Josh Cully finishes in 6th. Martin Plute 7th. Jason Shue, the defending champ, comes home 8th. Stan Hausman in 9th. Adam Schramm rounds out the top 10, and in 11th, rounding out the field, is Chris Papa in the number 31. Again, all those drivers, all of them, I think, got out front into contention. It was a great race for a lot of people here tonight, and we will see who can come away with the win next week at iRacing Superspeedway. But until then, for everybody at 10-4 broadcasting, my co-broadcaster tonight, Chris Darling, I'm Mitchell Adams, and I want to thank you all for joining us. And until next week, I hope you all stay safe, have fun, and we're going to see you then.